mind you, we traveled when it wasn't enough money to take everybody. Okay, we got a show. Okay, who all going? Well, of course, Durk and Reese going. So then D Thing could say, okay, maybe this time I won't go and so will have to go. You know, I come from that with them when it wasn't almost when it was nothing. So for him not to be here when it is as big as it is difficult because it's what we all work towards.
This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. I'm your host, Matt. And today, man, we got a legend in the building. We got a very special guest. He's been DJing since he was 11 years old, probably longer than that. But you were throwing parties in the basement, block parties, wherever you could get into it. You were getting into it, right?
Yeah. You know all of that, huh?
Owner of the DJ Reese program, more commonly known now as Black Wealth. You are the official tour DJ for Tink and Lil Durk. Free Durk. Man, introduce yourself, man.
Oh, man, you did it. That was a great job. Thank you. You know a lot about me, man. I appreciate it, man. Yeah, I'm DJ Reese, Chicago, born and raised, from 79th, South Side. Yeah, DJ. I've been DJing since I learned how to DJ when I was 11. I messed around with it around 9, 10 years old, but it was when my mother wasn't around. I just would mess with her equipment until I started breaking it.
Breaking needles and shit?
Yeah, man. I thought scratching was the only thing. I was like, you know how to scratch, then you're a DJ. Yeah, that wasn't the case.
How many of her records you mess up?
It wasn't the records, it was the needles. I kept breaking the needles. So when she would come in and then sit the needle down, it would just slide all the way across the record. And she knew somebody had. So for a long time, I blamed my little sister. It was easy to just say, hey, Trina was in there doing it and she did it, And then so my mother figured it out. I was like, you the one. So then she just said, you want to learn, I'll teach you. So I can start breaking her needles and at the same time, and she could teach me how to do it right.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I learned. And yeah, I started throwing my own parties in my grandmother's basement. My grandmother had a 2-flat. She stayed on the first floor. We stayed on the second floor. So, we started throwing parties, me and my friend from across the street that I started DJing with, Sean. His name is Sean. That's pretty much it, man. And then I started doing it professionally in 2000.
Mm-hmm.
I met Tink and Durk. I met Tink first in 2012. Oh, I'm
going
too fast.
Hold on, bro.
I'm just covering everything you were saying.
You're gonna cover everything before we get to it. I'm like, yeah.
I just went over everything you just introduced. Okay,
we're not gonna have anything to talk about.
There you go.
No, but I mean, right? You started those basement parties pretty early on. Were you even 15 yet?
We were still in grade school, so I had to be about 12.
25-cent parties?
25 cents. It was 25 cents for girls and 50 cents for boys. And we kept the money in a paper cup. At the back door, the back basement door, the money was sitting in a paper cup on top of the dryer. I can see it. My mother was down there. She was collecting the money. And I was just kind of being a host until it was my time to DJ. My friend Sean, he was DJing. And my other friend, Lucas, he was one of the DJs that night.
Your mom was in on the hustle?
If you want to call it a hustle. But, I mean, it was a way to keep us out of trouble at the same time. And then we could monitor all the kids on the block. Everybody knew where everybody was going. They was going to my house. It was a party.
When did you notice that all start to change, right? And we're going to get into that a little bit more a little down the line. But you mentioned at some point in different interviews, this street life had gotten a hold of you. When did you notice everything kind of start to change if everybody was at your house, at this young of an age?
That was at 13.
So a year later?
Yeah, we were still in grade school when the neighborhood started to kind of have that little shift in it. It was weird because friends that we were going to school with every day and hanging out and playing basketball with, all in one summer, now we can't hang no more because you in that gang and I'm in this gang and I'm not coming over your house no more. You can't come over my house. And it got real weird. And we were young. 13 years old, just getting out of 8th grade. It's my 8th grade year.
What do you think it was that took you guys down different paths at that point?
I don't know what it was, man, with the street life. I don't know. Like I said, it's just like it almost came out of nowhere. It just almost came out of nowhere. Because our block wasn't even the gang that we were, that we eventually was. When I was coming out of the house, it was the whole different gang in front of my house hanging out. Until eventually we're not gonna be that. We're gonna be this. And I wanted to be like my uncle anyway.
What do you feel like was the appeal in the street life at that point?
It wasn't money and cars. I don't at that point, at 13. I just wanted I would have to say it was more us sticking together because we live on this block. That we're all friends, so we're gonna protect our block. This is what we're gonna do together. Because we've made all kinds of groups. We've been the Carpenter Boys. We've had DJ groups when all of us was in the DJ group. So we've always been something. But then when it came gang life, we decided that this is what we're gonna do to be on our block. So the allure of money, cars, and things of that nature wasn't on a 13-year-old's mind. I think it was more just we're gonna stick together.
I always like to ask these questions and get into that because I think that so many people have different motivations in why they had gone toward that way, right? And even go back because there's a lot of people who make it out and still decide to maintain that lifestyle. I was just talking to Stunt Taylor 2 weeks ago. That was like 2 weeks ago. And he was telling us the same thing, right? It's not like you don't wake up one day and decide like, hey, I'm gonna join a gang. Right? He's like, I needed protection from the people that were messing with me at school, and these were the people that took me in.
A lot of it is that way. Like I say, the gang that was outside my door, and I went to the grade school I went to wasn't even the gang that I joined wasn't even at that school. So I was walking through territory, having to get to school, coming back, and still on my block, these guys was hanging out. So eventually we like, okay, we're gonna fight for this block. Y'all don't even live here. You're standing on my porch. So it just turned into that. Protection I don't think it was any of that we thought about. Like I said, we had our own football team on our block, our own basketball team. We bought uniforms. We always came together to do things together. And that was one thing we did. But it did separate some of us. Like even some didn't even join. They just like, I ain't with it.
So as you get older, right, then you go on to form the DJ Reese program. We might be jumping a little too far ahead, but I think that this is crucial to everything else that we need to get to, right? How did this come about, Black Wealth?
Me and Yayo were in the studio. I met Yayo through some mutual friends. We were in the studio one day, and Yayo would just have all of these artists come through there to record with him. And pretty real good artists too. So I guess me having the platform that I was having and wanting to do, have my own label one day, we decided, okay, let's do the DJ Reese program and let's just have artists record records with Yayo and I'll push the records. Because that's eventually how me and Durk and Tink did our thing. It just was a matter of they had a DJ that had a platform and pushing their records every night, playing them in the clubs, just repetitively. So that's how that came about. And then eventually, one of the artists said, we should just be a label. And we just went on ahead and figured it out. Got 2 other partners. Shabazz. Shabazz was doing a lot of artist management. I met him throughout my travels to DJing, and he used to service me records to the clubs. When we were DJing in the clubs, they used to have to bring us our records. So he would service the records throughout the clubs. That's how I met him. DJing? Yeah, I've been DJing long enough from records. Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah. Yes, sir. So I had to transition from records, CDs, all of that. DJ Big Tank was a friend of Yayo's, and we brought him in, and then um, that's how it formulated. That's how we started. Came up with the name LLC, did our thing.
You've been through it, man. You've been out here.
A little bit, a little bit, a little bit.
How was that transition from records to CDs to CDJs? Like that's wild.
It was a little difficult at first. It was a little difficult at first. The CDs because we still had we had LimeWire. So I had at the time, my manager at the time, he just would prepare these CDs for me every week, several CDs, playlist. He lists everything on it. These are the new songs. This is what you need. This is that. So, and then some of it was stuff that wasn't out on MP3 at the time. I just would have a CD recorder in my house and actually play the record, record it to a CD just so I can have it from record to CD. So it still had the crackling noise and everything in it. Yeah. I think my most difficult transition was going from CDs to Serato. I didn't trust computers. And that was my biggest thing. I didn't know Timbuktu was one of the first DJs, may he rest in peace, the first DJs I saw with a computer DJing a party. And I was like, I don't know about that.
Why were you so hesitant?
Comfortability. And then computers just wasn't my thing. I come from straight from the streets into the club. My friend got out of jail and we still hustling on the block. And he was like, we finna throw parties. Well, I'm not hustling no more. Can I DJ your parties? So I went straight from the streets to the club. So computers just, it wasn't in, I wasn't that comfortable with a computer.
Do you know how to DJ off a USB?
Yeah, I've done CDJ 2000s. I've had to do that before, where you have to put this jump drive in there and just read off the screen.
See, you're a pro now, man.
If I was doing house music, I don't know. I could possibly do a party, but I don't mind. It's the same. It's just scrolling through records and.
That one was crazy to me. I seen, M-Doc?
No, I don't think I know M-Doc.
I seen M-Doc do it, and that shit was, I was like, is he DJing off a USB? Like, that shit was crazy.
All the records are on there, and then the screen tells you everything. So it's the same thing as having your computer screen. That's all. It's just two jump drives. I watched some house DJs do it. That mostly.
He's a house DJ mainly, yeah.
House DJs do it.
But anyways, getting back to Black Wealth, right? You bring in a bunch of different people who help you build up this business. Like, not everybody has the network to do that. You know what I'm saying? Like, it'd be a struggle out here trying to find the right team. How did you know all these people were those players for you?
It wasn't just me. Like I said, it was Yayo was involved too. Like, we needed to know artist management. So I knew the guy that had been managing all the artists in the city. So that's how Shabazz came into play. And then I would always talk to Yayo about, I want to empower a DJ. I want to make sure another DJ is successful at this as well. Man, my man DJ Tink. So that's how that came about. Then we look up, now we need marketing and branding. Yayo, I got the person. So that's how Shay came involved. So that's just knowing people over time, and just kind of remembering what they do. And then when you're doing something, you reach back and say, hey, I got this going on. I think you can be a part of. So it was me and Yayo together collectively building the team together.
And the goal of Black Wealth is to help artists develop. What was it exactly? You said you want to leave them wealthy with not only just money monetarily, but it was something along the lines of that.
We wanted them to be wealthy with information as well. We never, and I say this, and it's only because it's an example and everybody know what it is, but I never wanted artists to have the new edition deal. I don't want them sitting around looking like I've did all of this work and now I got a check for 15 cents or I got a check for $1, and we want them to be knowledgeable about the business as well as, being successful at, making records and making money. Okay, but you still have to know the business. So that's building Black Wealth.
So why was it you found it so important to give back to the artists, right? Because You're a DJ. You're making your money anyways. Why did you find it so important to help give back?
I don't have a selfish nature, so you know that plays a part in it. And then just over time, as a DJ, I went through um, having to do things for not enough money and not knowing the business. So I definitely didn't want to have a label and then take advantage of an artist of their craft. So I come from that. So it's like I'm an artist too with you. I'm DJ Reese, so I'm an artist with you. I know what you're going through. So I definitely wanted to empower my people. I don't want to take advantage of them.
In no way do I think you're even that type of person. Like, just based off your energy and, the few minutes we've had, I don't even get that from you.
Thank you.
But seeing how far back it goes, right? Because now we get to Adriana's, right? Or Adriana's. And that's how you're meeting your artist, right? That's where you meet Tink. I know you knew Durk before, but that's where that business relationship had really developed, correct?
Yeah. I met Tink. I actually met Tink first. So I was doing Adriana's on Thursdays. It's one of the biggest parties in the city. Probably about 800 people every week. And the host at the time was this guy named Prince James. And Prince James bring me her CD and say, listen, you need to listen to this artist. I said, okay, I got you. I'm going to check it out. So mind you, he called me the next day. You check it out. I said, no, I ain't check it out. I'm going to get to it. I still hadn't listened to it. He called me again Saturday because this was Thursday when he gave it to me. Saturday, I listened to it. I called him and was like, yo, can you get her on the phone? I want to talk to her. So he called her up. We on three-way. I was like, hey, I introduced myself and was like, man, I like your work. I want to know, I want to introduce you to my manager and then I want to do some mixtapes with you. What you think? She said, yeah, okay, let's do it. And now we're here. That is pretty much it. So, and Durk was, I knew his father before I knew him, just from being, we from the same neighborhood, kind of. He stayed on a little few blocks over. But Durk was our manager. Me and Tink's manager was co-managing his situation. So then we interact like that, and then they brought me the L's record, L's Anthem, from the studio. And I played it that night in the club. They brought it to the club. It was almost like they left the studio, came to the club with the CD. I hadn't had a chance to listen to it. I put it in, and we go crazy with it. And that's how me and his relationship got started.
You know what? I'm not gonna lie. I was not too familiar with like L's Anthem and the history behind it all until I was doing the research, and I'm like, all right, let me understand everything about DJ Reese, right? And L's Anthem being the type of song that it is, and you just playing it in the club, did you see any type of reaction as far as, what was being discussed in the song?
That part wasn't even noticed. I'm gonna be honest with you. That part wasn't even noticed what was being discussed in the song, but it was a party record. It was so good. The party reacted so well to it. I spent it back, dropped a few bombs, sound effects, and reintroduced it. Now, mind you, Durk ain't old enough to be in the club. So the club manager at the time, we say Adriana's, let him come in just so he can see the reaction. So he's standing in front of the DJ booth while I'm playing the record. Play it 2 times, and the crowd just reacted. So I ain't think nothing of the lyrics. And I probably still today, now that you say something, I don't probably know all of the lyrics, but I'm sure something in there. But it just was a party record. It got the party going. So,
and it's so crazy because that sound is defined by that time period in Chicago music, right? So I went and listened to it. I looked at the YouTube comments. I'm like, this is wild that he just dropped that shit in the club, like straight out the studio.
Straight out the studio on a green Maxwell CD. I probably still got it. I got a case of CDs at home. It's probably still in there. It didn't have nothing written on it. They just came in like, he just recorded this, play this.
You got history in a box.
So many artists in Chicago CDs in a box at home. Yeah, I had a lot of them.
You still don't like having people's music before it releases?
Hey, you know that about me, huh? I don't like certain artists like Tink and Durk. I just did not like. I wanted to be on that short list of people who had records because people leak records, and they making money off of those leaks. So I always wanted to be on the short list of leaked records, and I really was on it after one time one of Tink projects got leaked, and I stopped accepting new music. If you're gonna send it to me, just send me the snippet. I just want the snippet on part of the hook and part of the verse, and I'm good. But that's the only reason for Tink and Durk. But any new artist, yeah, send me your music. I'll take it, you know what I'm saying? But them two, I just did not. And once they got where they were going, it was very uncomfortable to have it in advance like that. I'm talking, the one version I'm playing in the club don't even sound like the one everybody else had. That's how soon I would get it.
It was a whole different mix.
Whole different mix, yeah. Durk couldn't help himself. He still would send me music. You tell him no, he still, check this out. I need you to listen to this.
He's doing whatever he wants.
Yeah, he don't care. He just, he want to make sure the DJ, he want to make sure it sound good. He wants your opinion. He wants to know.
I mean, shit, you're important. You're important in that team, right? And we're going to get a little bit more into that. But I do want to touch on Adriana's a little bit more, right? Because when doing the research, you find out how historic this place was as far as hip hop artists coming through to the city and going there to perform, right? That was the spot where you were finding your new artists. Do you think that there's any place like that now?
It hasn't been a place like that in a long time. And you're talking about a place where national rappers like Gucci Mane and people like that would rap about Adriana's in their records. You know, Adriana's was like that rite of passage, I guess you would call it. Kind of like Soho in New York. I guess it's called Soho, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's called Soho. It's like a
SOBs?
SOBs.
Yep.
Okay. SOBs has about a 200 capacity. And they always say, if you can sell that out, you're on your way. Adriana's was the rite of passage, 2 Chainz came through that when he was still calling himself Titty Boy. I did that party. Plies been through there. Gucci, Rick Ross came through that. Like everybody was coming through there. That was just the place to be.
How did you end up there?
I got there in an unfortunate kind of situation. A DJ passed away that was doing the Thursday nights. This guy named Will that does strip clubs a lot. He had a club called Red Diamonds. It was his night. So he needed a DJ. He hit me up and I came and did the Thursday night, and then we just had been rocking ever since. Yeah. So that's how I wound up getting it. It was already an existing party. And it's a shame on me for not remembering the DJ's name right now. I'm having drawn a blank. But he passed away. And that's how I wound up taking over.
I was looking at it and I just saw, everything as far as your journey from 2000. There was, how do I put this? There's been a lot of level changes for you, and there's been a lot of pivoting in your career. And again, we're going to get into a lot more of this. I want to break down this Tink and Lil Durk relationship a little bit more and then move on, right? Because I always like to tell the guest, the interview's about you. It's not about who you've worked with.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't want it to make it all about that.
Understood.
But these are important people in your story, right?
Mm-hmm.
How did working with Tink help you elevate as a DJ? Because this is the first one that you go on tour with.
I DJed for an artist before her, but she was the first R&B act. But she could rap. At that time, she was rapping and R&B. But it was a little different having R&B and being on stage with a female.
So how did it help you grow as a DJ?
My timing. Your timing has to be right when you're doing R&B. It's just being up there. and it's not a rap show. A rap show is a little bit. It's not as structured. You can just kind of go up there and free for all when you're doing rap, kind of. But with R&B, it's a little more structured, a lot more planning. So um, it helped with my timing and structuring myself as a DJ, planning shows and putting shows together, making sure cue points was right and dropping where we need to drop. It's just a little different. It's totally different from rap.
Because when you're with Dirk, you be up there
Yeah,
fighting for your life sometimes.
Well, we have a show together,
Yeah.
and then he just get to where he's feeling something else. You have to be ready.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be ready. You can't have those awkward pause moments. You know, when he says something, I gotta know when he said this particular word or this particular phrase. Okay, he want to do this song next. I can't be all up there messing around. I gotta be ready when he's going.
How does working with Tink compare to working with Lil Durk?
Just in general?
What are some similarities? What are some differences?
The similarities, I don't know. The similarities will probably be their work ethic could be the same. You know, Dirk really wants his shows to be nice, and Tink definitely perfection for her shows. Differences is just as rap is night and day, really. We talking about rap and R&B. You know what I'm saying? It's not as backstage is totally different from a rap. And I don't want to say too much, but rap is totally different in the backstage than it is a backstage.
How was the UC the last time?
It was a little more structured this time because we've been there a few times. I was a little more structured because of previous, times being at it. So they had it figured out. But when I think about in the beginning of both of their careers, it just was, when you got a rapper on the rise and an R&B artist on the rise, it's just a little different. It's just, it's a little more structure and going by a timeline with the R&B. We need to be there at a certain time. We're going to be doing this, we're doing that. Things are just moving on a timely fashion. Rap has no time. Okay, we'll get there. Sometimes the show started at 7. Okay, we 8:30. Hey, what's up, everybody?
Rapper time.
Yeah, you're on rapper time. It's totally different that way.
And you've actually had the privilege of being close to 3 careers that blew up. Maybe a lot more, but out of Chicago, Tink, Dirk, Von.
Yeah, my man Von. Yeah, I was Von's first DJ. Von would, in the beginning, with Crazy Story, we would just play it at some point in Dirk shows everywhere we went. Every show. So when we first started doing it, Von didn't even want to come out on the stage. He didn't want to do it. He was like, I'm not getting out there. It hadn't set in on him yet that, okay, you got a hot record. So we just kept playing it, kept doing it everywhere we went. Then eventually it just took off. And he started doing his own shows, but his shows were kind of booked on days Dirk didn't have a show. So I would go out with him to do his first shows, and then we all bring it back together with Dirk. And then Von just kind of took off and had to get his own DJ because Dirk was taking off. They both kind of it just started skyrocketing.
How important do you think that relationship was to the success of both of them?
I think they fed off each other. That whole twin thing, I think they took it real literally, seriously. They felt like they were the same person. I saw a lot more laughter when Von was around, joke cracking, that kind of thing. But I think iron sharp as iron, and it definitely made Dirk a better artist. And as well as Dirk taught him the things that he already knew. So he was able to elevate quickly like that. Because you had somebody that was been in the game already. And we knew we had a hot record. You know what I've been playing a lot recently? What's that?
Back Again.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
What kind of hole do you feel like the loss of Von had left within OTF as a whole?
It definitely was an emptiness there. I can't speak for everyone else. you can see the difference in Dirk. Um, but for me, it was just like it was almost like losing a little. It was like losing a little brother, like a real little brother. Like one minute you there laughing and cracking jokes, and now you're gone. Like even though I was so much older than him, I learned stuff from him. Little minor things, like even though it might seem minor to people, but I was buying the wrong T-shirt. And Vaughn would come up to me, we'd be at Macy's, and Vaughn would be like, "No, we ain't getting them, bro. We getting these right here, These the ones we need. We gonna wear these." And I said, "All right, we gonna wear those." So it was like that. Like you miss that. Like, and people only see what they see. They hear the music and see the rap. They didn't get that other part.
And even at that point, right, it wasn't the only loss that you guys were suffering around that time. You mentioned in a previous interview when D Thing passed away, you thought it was a wrap.
I honestly thought that was the end of it. I thought that everyone was gonna be just done. It when you talk about glue that holds something together, that was the guy. He was the one making the moves for us, you know, putting the plays together in the music business. Um, Along with the other managers that was there as well, but he was the real glue to it. Um, and that one, it hits harder because, mind you, we traveled when it wasn't enough money to take everybody. Okay, we got a show. Okay, who all going? Well, of course, Durk and Reese going. So then D Thing could say, okay, maybe this time I won't go and so will have to go. You know, I come from that with them when it wasn't when it was nothing. So for him not to be here when it is as big as it is, it's difficult because it's what we all work towards. Um, and then I was just on a, I had talked to him so much. It's just being on the phone with him one day and then 2 days later, you gone. And we had plans. So that one hits. It hurts. It hurts a lot. Even when I think about it, when you walk in my house, when you come in my house and you open the door, his picture's it's right there. You can see it straight ahead. Straight ahead, man. That's tough.
And I see it in you right now.
Yeah, that's a tough one.
So I don't mean to harp on it.
No, it's all good. You ain't done nothing wrong. It's just hard. It's tough, man.
How do you feel like you guys have carried on his legacy?
Man, I'm sure he's proud of a lot of things. And I'm sure he's upset at a few things, But for the most part, man, I'm proud of those guys and what they've done. I'm proud of everything they've done.
I feel like this is such a weird transition for
2
me to hit
seconds,
you
2
with.
seconds,
Yeah,
2
no
seconds.
worries, man.
2 seconds. D Thang.
It's a lot of life you guys live together, man.
Man, from nothing. Talking about for real from nothing.
And there's not a lot of stories. There's not a lot of people that have lived that much life with somebody, right?
Uh-huh. You be with these guys, man, all day, every day. And then they be gone. No, Durk ain't dead, but he in jail. I couldn't even sleep the next day. It's tough. Hey, they not here. Just gotta try to keep your strength and keep it moving, and do what they want you to do. One thing I know about D Thing, get out there and get it. Get out there and get it. So ain't no sitting around and woe is me. Ain't no sitting around, woe is me. We got to get to it. So hope I'm making them proud.
Man, I hope so too. I think you are, bro. I think you guys have done a lot since then. And to see the success that not only Durk has had, but you, right? Because you're a part of that. you guys made OTF worldwide.
Yeah. Yeah.
You guys made Durk a household name. It's not just a okay Chicago thing, right?
Yeah.
It's a everywhere you go, everybody knows this name.
Even when the beginning and with the merch, I would make sure I go down to Exclusive on 87. Um, these- I got them in so many different colors that other people don't even have. I bet that they were never even selling these verses. I got them in stacks and stacks of them from way back when we used to just go do shows, and my whole thing was branding. You know, I didn't know at the time that's what I was doing, branding and marketing, but I was like, they gonna know we here. I'm gonna make sure I wear a different hoodie every place we go. And that's why I got so many of them. Most people probably only got that black and white one. I got a gang of them. I got sparkles on them, all kind of stuff.
I don't remember if Hypno was wearing one when he came. Because we sat down with Hypno like a year ago. It's so crazy how fast time flies, bro. Again, I don't want to make this about Durk, right?
No, it's all
But
good.
have you talked to Durk?
No, I haven't. I just communicate through management. Tell them I'm out here praying for them and let them know I'm thinking about them, and that's it. And they just tell me, you know, he doing good. His spirits is high. Last I talked to them about, his spirits is high. And his plan is to be back home. So hey, I'm ready. I'm ready to see him.
What are your thoughts, or how do you feel about all these bloggers who come out and have all these different things to say, conspiracy, all that, you know?
Then that's gonna be what it is. They're gonna make up stories of, you know, whatever little bit of information they have, and then their own interpretation added to it, I guess. I don't know.
I'm thinking of it more so from the angle of like, you know, these people. So having to deal with seeing what other people perceive or what they might think is like,
It's tough because you want to respond to everything, and I can't. I'm not, you know, it's a lot of lies out there, and I just, you know, I don't speak on it. I don't get too much involved in it. I just know I know those guys, and they not what people are portraying them to be. They got some nice guys, man. So I don't speak on it too much though.
like I said, I don't even want you to say too much. I just genuinely was wondering about that, right? So what was it that brought you back to being Dirk's full-time DJ? Because you left at one point.
Yeah, yeah, I was gone for a little bit. I've been off and on with him since 2012. So I was off here just for about a couple of years, I think it was. And then I didn't come back on full time. I just kind of came back on. Um, we were going to finish out the year with these shows that he had. He wanted to do it a few shows earlier in the year, but I was busy. I was out with Tink the whole summer, so I couldn't do anything. So when I became available, I did a few shows with him. We had one more show left for Philly. Was coming up, but to do the UC, you know, again with him. So we had did it a couple of times. Felt good.
You stay busy, bro.
I try. I got good management now.
She wasn't lying. She's like, she hit me. She's like, hey, I want to get you in with Durk and Tink's DJ before he goes back on tour.
Yeah.
And again, my bad. I'm sorry about that it took so long. I was going through it this year. And this year was a rough year, so I don't even know how I kept getting episodes out low key. But you know, you got to do what you got to do.
Yeah.
What was it that made you take that step back originally? I know you went on tour with Tink. Why go with Tink and leave what was going on over here behind?
Since 2012, I've been blessed to balance them at the same time for several years to not be booked on the same day. Can you imagine? For several years, like for real, for a long time, I don't know how I was doing it. The first time, Durk, his very first tour, I couldn't make. Tink had some dates that I had to do. And I told him I was gonna miss those dates, but his management at the time was like, no, we need somebody to go the whole time. So then that's how they wound up getting another DJ. Then he had new management in 2018. I think that was about 2018, I think it was. And asked me what I was doing on a Friday. It was like a Thursday they called. What you doing tomorrow? Nothing. We need a DJ in Minnesota. Okay, let's do it. That's when I came back on from 2018 up until it was 2022, I guess. 2022. So that was the heart of the climb. That's when he was really making his rise. Yeah.
Skyrocketed,
Yeah,
right?
it was started going different.
It's when life changed.
And then this particular last time that I took off in 2022, it just kind of was a little misunderstanding with new management, and the old manager was gone and he was restructuring and all kind of things were happening. And so we just didn't, wasn't doing anything. So then when he was ready to do something, then Tink always been my first priority. I'm busy. It's like, I'm available these days. So, and then we locked in, did a few shows, and it's always cool to do shows. Always cool to do shows with him.
Man, I'm honestly glad you got around back to that because I see the love that you have for them, right? And being able to have that experience before everything happened, it's a blessing.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That was a question I did have though. How is it dealing with all of these artists, managers, and transitions between all of that? Because you build a relationship here and then that's gone. It's like you got a real job. Not that it's not a real job, but like my 9 to 5.
Yeah.
When I get a new manager, I'm like, man, fuck that new manager. I miss my old manager. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like,
Right.
I'll be having beef with the new manager until I, warm up to them, and then they leave, and you're like, man, fuck that, a new manager.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
So, how have you been able to handle all of that?
I got a good relationship with both of my artists. I guess we would know. I guess I would know how a quarterback feels getting a new offensive coordinator. Getting a new offensive coordinator all the time. But with Tink's situation, me and Tink always been close. So, and management, and another thing is I let management do their job. I don't go stepping on nobody's toes because I managed Tink for just a brief moment. I was like an intern manager. So for a brief moment, she didn't have management. So I did it. Me and Ashley at the time, we kind of worked together and did it. And then with Durk's situation, he's kind of always had the same people. It's always been his brother, SB, and Chino passed away. And then the management that brought me back on his situation in 2018 was club promoters that I already knew. So we already had a relationship, already knew them, Ola and Dylan. So I already knew them. So I haven't had to deal with, and then Tink's current manager, I've always known him. He was an artist. I used to play his music. So I haven't had to deal with someone that wasn't from Chicago, per se, that I didn't know. You know what I mean? It was kind of that situation. And at the same time, like I say, I let management do their job. I don't go until I can't get what I need. Now I got a manager, so I let my manager handle that. But until I couldn't get what I needed, then I'll go tell my artist, hey, look, they not XYZ. But I don't have to go that far. I just let management do their thing and keep it moving.
And that's the hard part about being like this person in this business, right? And that's the important part of having a manager. Shout out Shay. Is that when it comes to being the business, you have to set your foot down and there's certain standards you have to follow, right? And then being the person, it's like, I'm not that business person all the time, right? And for me, it's a little bit harder because I'm having heart-to-heart conversations with people. So when I got to handle the business first, they're like, oh man, this guy, like, he's full of it. Or, I feel like they get the wrong impression sometimes, but it's not that at all. It's just you got to have an understanding beforehand. And then once you get here, like, man, we could be best friends.
Exactly. Yeah.
In an interview, you say, it's cool because we come from the same neighborhood in reference to Durk. We come from the same things. I knew his father before I knew him. We're from the same area, man. We came from the same upbringing, just at a different time. Right. What did this upbringing look like for you?
It was great. It was, we were around still playing football in the street, um, catch one, catch all, walking to the corner store, bags of candy, neighborhood candy store the lady had at her house. We going to each other's house. You saw everybody's bike in front of so and so house. You knew where all the kids was. I come from that until it just changed, and then now we have gang life and street life, which is a little more structured back then than it is today. Um, but when you cut the head off of a body of something, the body's gonna hit the ground, and that's what the government did. They locked up all the heads of these gangs, and now no one's on the streets to guide these guys to do anything right. I really feel like eventually the mindset would have changed and gangs would have became more of a business, legitimate corporation business. That the mind would have changed. You know, I don't see the guys that I grew up with and came up with still toting pistols and running through gangways and doing X, Y, Z. I see them, okay, we gotta own this and do this and do that and taking it in a different direction. It just needed some more time. And most of these gangs started out as community things anyway, to take care of the community. The Blackstones, they had a whole organization to take care of their community and was getting government funding. It just turned into somewhere along the lines. It turned into violence a little bit. But I think it wouldn't have been what it is today had they not taken the structure away from it. Right now, it has no structure. You just have thoughtless processes.
And right now, it's really bad.
It's terrible. I'm afraid for my son all the time. He wants to walk to the store. And I walked the first couple of times with him. Yeah, because we moved to a different neighborhood, and now he lives with me. So it's like the corner store is right there. I can see it from my window if I sit in the window in my living room window. But the first couple of times I walk with him and talk to him along the way, street talk, so he can have an understanding and a sense. And then eventually I had to, let him be him. He's 17. Let him walk to the store, but it hurts.
How many kids you got?
I have 6 kids altogether. I have 3 biological kids and 3 kids from previous relationships that were little kids. So you know how that goes.
You've been at it.
Yeah. A lady called me a colonizer one day. I said, what?
Well, how old's the youngest?
The youngest are 16 and 17. Yeah, some lady did one time. Some lady, I don't know what she was. I don't know if she was flirting. I don't know what it was.
That don't even make sense.
It don't.
What are some values you hope to instill in your own children as they continue to grow?
I want them to be responsible, be accountable, um, hold themselves accountable, um, and just be better than me. You know, I just had this talk with my son in the kitchen yesterday. I said, everything I teach you is because I want you to do better than I have done. And I told him he's already better than me at 17 than I was at 17.
What was wrong with you? Why'd he say that?
I was a tough kid. I was rough. I wasn't going to school, gang banging. I was doing all kind of crazy stuff. My son is in the National Honor Society. So he's already at 17 doing way better than I was at 17. So it's kind of a trade-off too, is my son's not street savvy. And then I have all of the streets. So, but that's lets me know that, and that should let every parent know that you're doing a good job, because he's not supposed to have that. He's not supposed to be in the streets. I did that, and I know you ain't supposed to go that way. So, I just want my kids to be responsible adults.
How much of your behavior as a kid do you think was attributed to the lack of a father figure?
I would have to say a great portion of it was because I was raised by my aunt, my mother, my aunt, and my grandma. Those the ladies in the house. My 2 uncles was in and out of jail, and the one uncle that I looked up to I always wanted to be like him. I just thought he was the greatest thing, so I wanted to be like him. Um, and my father just wasn't around. Um, but that's a different story because he was around, but he wasn't. So that's a different kind of story. But if I'd have had some type of structure there and someone to teach me, so I didn't have to bump my head first to find out, or bump my head 2 times. Sometimes, sometimes I didn't get it right the first time. Um, it might have been different, but I'm not gonna complain. I turned out very well. Mother and them did a great job. They did what they could with me. The rest I had to learn on my own from the streets. And that's another thing gangs play a part in is when you don't have the father figure at home, they get it from the streets. You know, a woman can only teach you how to be so much, take you so far as a man. To, it can't really teach you how to be a man.
I hear that a lot with people that I've sat down with that, a woman can only take it so far. What do you feel like it was that was missing? What did you need to learn from another man?
How to handle things as a man, you know, um, and people think about Kanye West, and I'm going to use him as an example. Um, how he reacts to things. He's just a single mother, him and his mother. So he's going to react how his mother would react because that's what he knows. And that's where I come from. I'm raised by 3 women. So a lot of things I may react to may be different than how a man would really react to it. So um, that's why you need that father, that man that to kind of teach you to be a man and do the things that men do. Um, Not saying that I was raised wrong or bad, but you know, I could have used that other part. A lot of things I just had to learn on my own.
There's just certain things that were missing, right?
Yeah, just
And
certain things.
I mean, everything about your childhood shapes the way that you are. It shapes who you become, right? And I always use this example as far as, my childhood. My dad, he was around, right? Like, I grew up with my dad. My parents are still together. He just worked a lot when I was younger. So I would only see him like on the weekends, or he would come home at like 4:30, 5 o'clock. But me and my brother are watching TV and he's falling asleep on the floor by 6 o'clock because he's a carpenter, right? Like, there's no real interaction there. So it's not like he didn't love us. It's not that he didn't care about us. It's that he's going to work and providing for us because my mom stays at home and he's got to bring home all the money, right? And that was a choice that they made, right? That's what they decided. And to me personally, I loved growing up with having my mom at home and seeing my dad when I see my dad. But that just meant that his words meant all the more, that much more, right? So when I'm going to school and I'm getting A's and B's, and he tells me, "Well, why didn't you get all A's?" It's like, well, fuck, why isn't A's and B's just good enough for you? You know what I'm saying? So it creates that idea that, I was never able to feel fulfilled in everything that I was doing because there was always a negative to the positive. And now I have that mentality, right? If somebody tells me, "Oh, I did this, this, and that," but what didn't you do? Right? And I know it's a bad habit. It's just something that's ingrained into me now, right?
I guess it'll be the same as because I do my son like that too. When he comes home and he has A's and B's, and then I'll ask him about that B. And so I'll ask him, what is the plan? Do you have a plan to turn that B into an A? Like, strive to be, always strive to be your greatest self, is what I tell him. Strive to be the greatest thing. Um, and he just comes up with it. It's in his mind, I know what I need to do, and I know why it's the way it is. And that's all. I'm good with that. That means he processed the whole situation. He knows why he got that B, and he knows what he need to do to get an A. Cause he doesn't. It's no pressure from me and his mom. Now his mom is an A and B student. I wasn't when I was in school. So for him to get A's and B's, I'm super. But I know how his mom gonna stand on it. And by him leaving with me, I want to keep that standard high, so that she knows I let my son go be in good hands with his father. He's gonna stay along the values I like too as well. So, but my son processes his whole thing. He looks at it as I know I can get it, and I'm gonna get it.
And that's an amazing quality and that's an amazing value to have, right? Because now you're also teaching him accountability and how to fix
Exactly.
what's going wrong. Not necessarily wrong because it's a B, but I use that example as like to say that once again, everything that happens in your childhood, it
Hmm.
follows you,
It does.
right? And that's why music is such a huge part in your life. Your mom taught you how to DJ, or at least started showing you at 11, 9 years old. You were playing with it, right? How did your mom's passion help push you towards music?
I never really took it too serious.
Hmm.
It just was always something that was there, and she did it, and I just wanted to do it because she did it. Outside of my uncle, that was the next person I always looked up to was my mother. So I wanted to do the things she did. My mother, she was young. So look at it this way: a young adult with two kids, right? And she's a DJ. So now she's got her own place. She's in her early 20s. Her house is the hangout. So music is constantly playing. It's a constant. When my mother's cleaning up, music is playing. She's getting ready to go somewhere, music is playing. On the weekends, after they leave the club, the after party is now, because the DJ party don't really start till after the party is over because he's working. He or she is working. So our house was just always filled with music. So I think the passion comes from that. Like it just was a constant. You can hear it. We can hear music in our sleep. My mom used to wake us up for me to come in there and DJ and my sister to sing Tina Marie records. It's so funny. Like for real. If I had a microphone, I would be DJing and play a Tina Marie record. My sister would sing every word. Now I'm 11, she's 5, 6 years old. So we just in there entertaining the people late at night. So
Could be asleep.
yeah, should be asleep. But my mom, she's young. You talking about a young person, early 20s, you know, different from today, She didn't, she and kept us involved in things. She kept us going. So music was that was just a constant. And my kids, my son right now in his room has my record collection. And he's trying to organize it now by genre and alphabetical order. So they're scattered everywhere. So now when he looks at something he recognizes, he brings it to me like, I see this guy on the internet, Dad. Like they be like somebody like this, like Michael Jackson or Rick James. He'll say, he thought Rick James was just the what the comedian used to do. Um Dave Chappelle. He just thought it was that.
Thought it was an
He just
act.
thought it was that. So he was like, "This the guy right here." Yeah, I was like, "Yeah, he used to make music, right?" He was the guy. He was the man at one point. Uh, Bobby Brown. He's got the Bobby Brown album. He's like, "Man, this Bobby Brown." I was, "Yeah, it's Bobby Brown. He was on his own. He did his own thing. Well, he just be on TV with his family, so they see what they see today, and then don't know the other stuff. So my son, he's super interested in the music.
I want to say shout out to your mom for real.
Yeah.
Because, right, you mentioned it's different today. A lot of people, they have kids in their early 20s and they hand it off to their
Yeah,
parent.
they do.
They say, all right, I'm going to go live life now. I created this thing. Here you go, right? And she didn't do that.
Nah.
And she took care of you guys. And to me, it looks like she raised a great person,
I
man.
appreciate
So,
it, man. Thank
shit.
you. And I appreciate it, man. Thank you.
In what ways did you see the music bring you two closer together?
It wasn't the music. The music towards the end. Towards the end, my mom passed away in 2018. So towards the end, it was the music because then now she got to see it go into what it's becoming, what it is now, what everyone else sees. In the beginning, it was a little slow. But I don't know if it was the music that kept us close. We had a kind of a strained relationship, but music played a big part of it. But I don't know if that what brought us close. But towards the end, before she passed away, she was so excited about everything. Um, she was amazed to see me at certain places with certain people, like the Isley Brothers. I DJed the Isley Brothers concert, and I invited her, got her tickets and everything, and she just couldn't believe I was on stage and Ronald Isley was right there, and my son is right there. Like that. That's when it got amazing to her. Like, okay, this is really something.
People don't see the value in something until they can physically either hold it or they can see it, right? To them, it's just stories until they witness it. So that's what I tell people all the time. Like, my parents are just gonna think I'm on the internet talking until one day I come home and like I got some money, right? I got a couple thousand or something.
I think she wanted me to have a regular 9 to 5 job as well as DJ.
Mm.
But DJing, I've been DJing professionally now for 24 years. For almost 19 of those years, it's just been DJing. I haven't had to punch nobody's clock. I just lived off of DJing. So to my mom, it was her hustle, you know, and it's still a hustle today, but it is a career too. Yeah. And she didn't see it going where it's at right now. So it was a little strain at first. Like, you need to get you a real job, and your son needs this, your daughter needs this. You know, she was on me like that. Yeah. Until she just saw it. And so now it's just, I wish she can really see what's going on. Like, this right now will really blow her mind. Like, the United Center, she's like, come on. Mm-hmm. Jordan is in the United Center. Now my mom, she's the one that's she's gonna sit at everybody's table. My son is at the United Center. Regardless of if I could have been sweeping the floor, she just know I'm somewhere where we just didn't, it wasn't in our scope to be. Mm. You know, I walked the hallways where Jordan walked. You know, it's tripped out.
How did DJing help save you from a life that you thought you had to live?
That's another part where my passion comes from, because it saved my life. In 1998, I caught a drug case. They come kick the doors in. Now, mind you, I never got caught, so it only took me one time. The first time I got caught, my career was over with that. So I go to court, and I'm caught. Like, I'm red-handed. I'm red-handed. My lawyer come to my house and say, we can beat it. They can beat it. I guess it's over now. They can't charge me again. So he looked at my building, and where they found the drugs at was accessible by the whole building. So who's to say it's yours? And I never thought about that. I never knew my hiding spot was that. You know, it's accessible by everybody lives there. They could have charged the whole building. Why they charge you? So we was going to beat it on that way, but it turned out the police were corrupt. So they went down later on the news. That whole police ring, if we look it up, they went down. They went down later down the lines. But I prayed to God while I was fighting that case, because the judge told me her name was Mary Mitchell. She's a black lady.
I even remember
I
her
don't
name.
forget. You don't forget when somebody saved your life, right? She said, you're facing 4 to 14, no probation. I said, oh my God, I can't go to jail. I don't do no time. I can't do that. I pray to God, make me do something else, because I'm not going to do it on my own. As long as they selling drugs outside that door, I'm coming outside that door to sell them. This is my block I grew up on. I'm going to do it. So after I beat the case, my friend come home, and he said he wasn't selling drugs no more. He was like, I'm finna start throwing parties. And I had been practicing, because the girl I was dating at the time bought me some turntables. She would wonder why I would come in the house in the middle of at 10 o'clock. I would come in and listen to Ferris DJ and count my money, and then put some more bags together to go back outside. So she was like, why you do that? I said, well, I used to DJ. And she bought me some turntables. I called my case. My friend come home. I've been practicing. He started throwing parties. Now you got it. Now you got this. Now you got this. God saved me, man. Because I wasn't going to do it on my own. I had to move out of my neighborhood I grew up in and move to a whole different neighborhood that I didn't know anyone, where it was the opposite gang, because I knew I wasn't going to come outside to hang with the other gang. So now I'm forced to live what we called then a square life. I had to get it together. So I took DJing serious, man. And I was like, one day I'm a travel DJ. I'm gonna be a tour DJ. And that's what I worked my way to.
You made that shit happen.
I made it happen, man. With a lot of help from a lot of different people. But God first, man. If it wasn't for him, make me. I told him, you gotta make me do something else. Because I'm not gonna do it on my own. I'm gonna keep doing this. This is what we're gonna do. The girl bought them turntables. Man, it was over with. It was over with. So we were still hustling. Matter of fact, I was still hustling while I was fighting my case. That was scary. Because if you get caught, you're done. But I'm pulling up to the club. My first club I'm pulling up to the club with the block in a Cadillac with rims and sounds. And we looking like drug dealers still. I'm not even looking like a DJ. I'm fresh off the block. This is what one DJ was like, this is what we work towards to get a Cadillac. I come in the game with. And then once I beat the case, I gave everything away. Nobody don't owe me nothing.
What was the moment you knew things needed to change?
When the judge said 4 to 14, no probation.
So what was the moment you knew things had changed?
The young lady I was dating at the time, at Christmas, I had turntables for Christmas. Now, she didn't know to buy a mixer. She didn't know to buy any records. All she knew was, or whatever her investigation was, you buy these two things and he's good. I had two 1200 Technique 1200 turntables, and I went and got the rest. So now I'm fighting my case. I'm DJing. I got the speaker in the window. I'm rocking the block. I may go out and sell a couple of bags because I still got a lawyer to pay, but I'm not out there like I was. Now my whole time is consumed to getting my timing back, making sure I know records, going to the record store, buying records, and that started when my friends started throwing parties. I only had Friday night, so we would hustle all week and practice all. I would practice all week and hustle all week just for Friday night, for my 2 hours that I would DJ before Timbuktu. Me and Timbuktu, my first DJ gig in the club.
Why did they raid your place?
Someone told on me. Yeah, someone, That's how it goes, man. Some cats just don't want to see you. Yeah. It was real low key, and I didn't find out until when you get your emotional discovery. It was the whole night was in there, and I know everybody I interact with that night. So if you calling them Informant 1 and Informant 2, I was with Informant 1 and 2. I know what me and Informant 1 and 2 was doing. I know who you are. You set me up. 2 of them. It's all good though, man. Well, it was one, Informant 1. It was really one, but I know where they had us at it with that other person was there too.
How did you notice your thinking changed from that point on?
I was always different, I guess. I was always different. I always looked at the game banging and the drug dealing different than most people, I guess. I knew it wasn't going to last long. I just didn't know how long. So, I guess my mindset was, because of the outcome, giving 4 to 14 years to the government to sit down somewhere and not, have my freedom, that's supposed to change anybody. That shit right there tell you need to do right. Some people don't get it. Sometimes you got to bump your head, like I said earlier, 2 times. That was just one of those particular times. It only took me 1 time. And my drug career was short. It was only lasted 2 summers. 2 summers, and I was done. It was it. It was cool. Now I get caught. You got to tell me again. I need to find something else to do. And that didn't take, I don't know, it wasn't no man, my father wasn't there to tell me, my mother wasn't pressuring me too much about it. My grandma, I know what she was doing, praying every time I walked out that door. I know what she was doing. She wasn't in my face like, you shouldn't do this, shouldn't do that. I didn't have that, but I knew I needed to do right. I knew it. It's just in you to know. You want to, if you know you want to be better. I knew I wanted to be better. So I just did it, changed myself.
The testimony of DJ Reese.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
A lot of the time throughout this period of being a DJ, you went from the basement party to the clubs to touring as a DJ. You've elevated every time and you've been able to reinvent yourself. When did you know it was the right time to pivot?
Several times I had several moments where I had to pivot or reinvent myself. Now, mind you, I've been doing it professionally since 2000. That's 24 years ago. A lot of the DJs I came in this with are not around. They just somewhere chilling. But because I knew this had saved my life, I knew this is what I was supposed to be doing. So each time you just find a way to reinvent yourself, sort of. I don't really. It's no. I don't know if it's no formula to it. You just kind of know. Like I'm in a space right now where it's gonna make another shift, another change into something. Um, and having the mindset to evolve as well. You know, had I not switched from records and still been on records today, I'd be a dinosaur. Like I wouldn't be able to compete with everything else. I wouldn't, you know. So learning to keep up with the times. I've always been involved with new music. New music has always been my thing. I love new music more than I love a song that's already hot. So I'm in the game for a lot of different reasons.
Clearly, you love to break records, right? You like to sandwich it in between two hot records.
Exactly, man. That's how you break a record, man. You gotta take what's hot and you take something that's, fits and you smash it. You put it between two good ones and you keep the party moving and you introduce that record. You keep going. The reason I'm with Tink and Durk is, man, I played their records. Those were my artists. I'm playing your music. Let's go.
Who you got on your radar right now?
We was riding over here talking. That's why I like Chanel. I like Chanel a lot. I really feel like she can do it. She can make an impact in this music thing. As far as the other artists, I'm just kind of keeping my eye on a few artists that I won't speak on. It's kind of new. Nobody I want to mention. But I don't know the newer artists. Some of them are yeah, all right. They do what they do. It's for their era. A lot of stuff I may not understand. I didn't understand a lot of things, but if it's hot, like, hey, do your thing.
I think with Dirk, you saw that vision, right? Because his growth and his elevation, his evolution of the music, it's similar, but the way that it grew and what it became, it was just crazy.
He's always been appealing too through the drill era. Now, if I had to, think about my days in the streets, he was the guy that would have, in my era, would have had the flashy car and everything, and you wouldn't have seen him too much, but always made the decisions, good decisions. So I always felt like he was more appealing, more to you can sell this more in the music industry. Now Tink, I just knew her pen was different than anybody's pen. Like, I don't know, something about her writing, it's amazing. Like, her music is super, just out of this world to me.
You chose the right two, man.
Well, they chose. God chose us all. God chose us all. I think it's different opportunities put us together. Like I said, it was Dirk. Me and Dirk had ties from his father not even knowing. Like, his mother lived the next door to me, so this not knowing this young man was going to be a rapper. It's just an era I come from, and he was a baby. So we just been around Divine like that forever. And it came to this music thing. And Tink situation, man, it was Prince James. Prince James knew she was hot. He knew I had the platform and he wanted this music played. He was the host of the party and I was the DJ. We need this music, Reese. And pretty much is what he was telling me. We need this music played while we here on Thursday nights. So I think God, I don't think I know God put us all together like that.
Shout out Adriana's.
Man.
Shout out God.
Adriana.
Shout out DJ Reese.
Yes, sir.
Shout out Tink. Shout out Lil Durk.
Yes,
Free
sir.
Durk.
Yes, sir.
Man, I appreciate you, man.
I appreciate you having me, man. Thank you.
Of course. It was an amazing conversation. You got anything you want to mention? Anything you want to sign off on?
I don't know. Follow me.
Say shout out to Sad Boy Radio.
Sad Boy Radio?
Yeah, shout out Sad Boy Radio.
Shout out Sad Boy Radio. You know what it is. You know what it is.
Make sure you guys go ahead, like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you go ahead, check out DJ Reese. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.